can start the open forum now. I've been going through a number of the questions. Some of them are related. I will try to synthesize and ask questions that will summarize or represent sets of questions. No, we're not too far behind the schedule, so meron tayong panahon pa para sa mga questions and open forum and discussion. Napaka-comprehensive na po itong programang ito. But there are also a number of questions that, common questions that people want to ask. This is also coming from one of the media people present here, and ang tanong niya actually is similar to the questions asked by others, and it might have been already answered partially, pero ang tanong ay bakit po walang consultations? Medyo malinaw na from various speakers na hindi nagkaroon ng consultations. I think this is mainly for the DPWH. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, if I'll just repeat the question. I'm just summarizing the several questions asked by people about the process. Why was the project started before the various essential processes had finished, including the feasibility study, the consultations? Hindi po naganap as confirmed by various representatives here, including government. But why was the project already started, even if the consultations on various aspects had not even begun?
Sir, kasi ang pondo nga natin na-release ng 2020. And per DBM instructions, we only have 2 years to have it obligated and to be disbursed. So, at the part of the DPWH, we base our bidding and our program doon lang ho sa binigay muna sa amin na phase 1, which includes yung bridge 1 and yung access road towards doon sa bridge na yon, which is, so far, sabi ko nga sa inyo, sa ngayon, as of April 8, we have suspended the work, and for the contractor was instructed also regarding those mitigating measures for possible slides or erosions for dun sa mga na-open na sections. Yung mga equipment nila doon so far, hindi pa nila ma-demobilize kasi hindi naman po basta-bastang ma-demobilize nila yon, but it is being monitored na wala muna silang gagawin. If ever na meron silang gagawin doon, yun lang ho doon sa mga sections na dapat ma-mitigate yung na-open na area. Kaya nga ho, yung talagang kasi sayang naman ho kasi yung 250 million kung hindi natin mapa-obligate. Now, sa FS, ongoing naman ho yun, and if ever, meron ho sila kasing 3 option, hindi lang naman ho isang option. And during the construction of our projects, hindi naman ho tayo naka-fix dun sa alignment. There are ways, as what Architect Scotty Saldana, our consultant, that is discussed earlier, hindi ho tayo naka-fix kung saan yung alignment natin. If we can find alignment wherein mas lesser yung impact among lalo na sa ating environment, sa ating mga katutubo, susunod ho kami doon. We can always prepare the variation orders and the change orders, provided that we can have the necessary na survey and it will be accepted or acceptable among all of us. Hindi lang ho sa katutubo, but ito sa ating mga kamiyembro na kasama ho natin ngayon. Yan lang po.
Ma'am, there's a two-pronged question here that's somewhat related also. Will the feasibility study include ecosystem valuation studies? And then hypothetically, supposing your department and your consultants find the project not feasible, what would be your options? And would you be considering water transport options as an alternative to the bridge projects?
Sir, depende po yun, as we have heard earlier, depende yung magiging decision nating lahat. Kasi nga, kanina na-discuss natin that we have also to consider paano natin matutulungan yung ating mga katutubo. And take note kung yung water din, kailangan, kasi usually yung bridge natin, doon nakakabit yung main na water lines nila kung manggagaling pa sa Coron. But if not, pwede rin siya mag-underground sila, pero take note that it will also affect, and in every development, in every infrastructure projects, talaga naman meron nasasakripisyo, but we will mitigate. Sabi nga natin, hindi kami yung gusto namin ay gagawin kahit na anong mangyari, kahit na anong masira. Hindi ho, part ho kami niyan eh. So as much as possible, susunod kami sa lahat. And if ever na maging decision nating lahat ay hindi ituloy, then we will request or for the body, kung meron na ganyan, baka mapipilitan kami i-terminate, i-revert yung pera. At hindi pa na namin dadagdugtungan pa yan kasi under ho yan sa build, there was a proposal that additional amount will be released for 2021, 2022, and 2023. Pero kung hindi na ho natin itutuloy, tatanggalin na rin po natin iyan. And yun nga ho, most probably, we will revert the funding and we will terminate the contract.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Of course, everyone understands DPWH is just implementing, what is policy and strategy, etc. But some people are asking, who was the original advocate for this? Considering various sectors represented here are raising objections. Who are the primary forces behind it? Who is pushing for this project, ma'am? Would you know?
Sir, first of all, I have transferred at Region 4B on the later part of 2019. That was almost October, no? So, and this project is under LIP. Sorry, hindi ko po alam kung sino po talaga ang proponent. LIP is Local Infrastructure Project po. Pero kung sino po talaga, directly na gusto nyo mag-ano ko ng pangalan, hindi ko po alam. Basta lumabas po yan, pinabid namin, and we're trying to implement it.
Yes. Maybe NEDA Director Sumbeling would have an idea. Okay. So parang
hindi rin po namin alam. Actually, that was part of the project proposal for the budget of the DPWH way back in 2018, I think. And yun nga, sa tagal ng panahon at yung 3 taon na nakaraan, hindi po namin alam kung sino yung nag-push talaga. Basta lumabas na lang po yan. Hindi nga rin yan nasama talaga sa mga reports nila sa NEDA while doing the monitoring. But, hindi na natin pwedeng mag-pinpoint kung sino. Pero, yun nga po, hindi po namin alam kung sino yung nag-push dyan sa project na yan.
Okay. There's another question here about the feasibility study. Will the public have access to the final product of the study? And what agency is in charge of interpreting the data in the feasibility study and developing recommendations based on it?
Actually, there is a TWG formed by dun sa RPMC namin, wherein everybody will be given the information. And siguro, magsasama ho sila doon ng isang representative, I don't know kung ilang representative coming from the NGOs, so that during the preparation nung ating mga FS, including that of the revised plan, that will be discussed. Actually, it will be a continuing discussion until such time that the plans and this project will be acceptable.
Okay. Salamat po. See, Father Roderick Kaabay has his hand raised. Father Kaabay, please unmute yourself, Father.
Yeah. Yes, Sir Howie. I direct my questions to the NCIP, no? Kasi sa itong Luzon, Marili Island, at ang palibot po niyan ay yan po ay na-applyan na po yan under sa application ng CADTI na ating mga kautubo. So it covers not only Marili and Luzon, but the whole ancestral waters nila covers the communities of Lamo, Ditopiak, Dimakuang, Alulad, Marabal, Balete. Now the fears now of and they are this group of our Tagbano communities, they don't even have the CADTI yet. And the fear of that is that if the bridge would pass through their land, alam natin ang development. Once they see the land, people would buy the land, would be interested, that will be an economic tourism area. And posibleng pag hindi handa ang komunidad, posible na may bibili ng lupang ganito, may bibili ng lupang ganito, magbibentahan, mataas ang bintahan, mag-aaway-away, makautuba, and one day they find themselves, they have to leave the land because wala na silang lugar. No. Siguro yun siguro ang punto ko. Paano may ensure ng NCIP ang tunay na interest nitong ating mga kautubang Tagbano na hindi lang ito marili. I'd like to point out the ancestral waters would include Lamo, Ditopiak, Dimakuang, Alulad, Marabal, Balete. Gusto ko i-point out yung vulnerability ng ating mga kautubo. When there is a new culture, a foreign culture for that matter coming in, madaling mabago ang sistema ng buhay nila. Dahil sa kahirapan ng buhay, madali rin na maabuso ang ating mga kautubo. Human trafficking could also come in, when tourists would come into that place. Maraming aspeto, na dapat titingnan ng NCIP, yung implication ng bridge na ito para sa ating mga kautubo, So yun siguro I just like una issue ng CADTI. Ibig sabihin hanggang ngayon walang seguridad kahit na it was applied 2014, walang seguridad ang komunidad na papel, na titulo ng buong area. And when this bridge would come in, would pass through their land, I'm very sure in the next few years na ito nabuksan na, I'm very sure may share ang pamayanan, wala ng kalupaan ang mga kautubo. And to think about fisheries, okay? Ang ating mga kautubo po dyan ay kung ang damage should be like 5 kilometers radius, ang ating mga kautubo po, namamangka lang po sila dyan. So ang daily fish they eat, the food they eat is really dependent on that area. They don't go to Cuyo Islands or Sulusi or Mindanao to get fish. Nandiyan lang po talaga yan sila. And so the bridge has implications in terms of daily survival ng ating mga indigenous communities. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat, Father. Does anyone from the NCIP want to respond? I understand that it's more than hindi lang si NCIP Commissioner George na nandito. Meron na may mga iba. But Commissioner, would you care to respond? Yep.
Good morning. Yeah, this is Director Pasqua. Good morning to all and thank you for inviting us. We acknowledge the concerns raised here and very clear naman po sa dadaan talaga sa free prior informed consent but let me just give you the whole brief overview of Mimaropa based on our records. There are at least 22 IP communities in Mimaropa, and as far as NCIP is concerned, we were able to have 23 certificate of ancestral domain titles, of which that's almost over the 133 universe that applied for ancestral domain titles. And 95 are ongoing right now, of which the bulk are in Palawan, almost 82. We already approved 9 certificate of ancestral domain titles there, and there are 12 with community-based plans, or what we call ADSDPP, or Ancestral Domain Sustainable Development and Protection Plan. Now, when we speak of the rights, no, very clear naman po sa IPRA yung section, the section that speaks of certificate precondition that's needed, and that hindi dahil naka-anchor yan sa CADT. The CADT is a formal recognition of the native title of the indigenous peoples. So very clear din on the Administrative Order number 3 of NCIP series of 2012, that when we speak of the FPIC, the rights of the communities, no, in the FPIC, particularly it's an instrument of empowerment that enables the IPs to exercise their right to self-determination, no, in a consensus building process. So dadaan po lahat ito as soon as we get the application of DPWH, and in fact we had meeting with DPWH and are willing to undergo this FPIC. So that is the process that we have to go. It's already there. Irespeto po natin, and we encourage each and everyone not to join in the process. In fact, with the virtual already coming in, no, we can do virtual sessions on this. Also, NCIP is doing its what we call, no, revisiting our systems, our guidelines, in particular also the FPIC. So we're going into that. Now, may I take this opportunity to appeal to each and everyone, dahil andito naman tayo lahat. Ang burning issue talaga sa Mimaropa, and that's the reason why we really are having series of meetings, no, mainstreaming the issues and concerns of IP communities, is the rampant selling of ancestral domains. So siguro dito tayo magkaroon ng pagtutulungan, and I'm happy that we have this group para magtulungan tayo to post in all, no, in all social media platforms, even in resorts kung IP ancestral domains yan, to stop, no, the selling of ancestral domain lands. Sayang, no, sayang itong mga ancestral domain, at alam po natin na bawal yon. Kaya lang, we appeal to each and everyone, tulungan nyo rin kami. We'll do IEC, massive information to each and everyone, to help us stop selling the ancestral domain lands. The IPs already, the IPMRs have resolutions to that. Now, the second also is the respect of FPIC. We understand, medyo mahaba yung, as mentioned by Attorney Jerty, mahaba yung proseso sa FPIC. But ang process kasi, andyan naman po sa batas, as I stated earlier, NCIP is moving towards reviewing all of our systems and guidelines to be more responsive to the needs. But very clear po na kailangan dadaan sa FPIC, and we appeal also to our partners, government, civil society, private sectors, that we all undergo FPIC. So maganda naman na nag-usap din kami with DPWH because they presented to us yung mga forthcoming programs and projects, and that we will soon be having a culture sensitivity training with them and other government agencies also, as well as discussions on FPIC. So yun po ang pwede namin i-share. And we would like know that each and every one of us, tama po, let's all be partners and facilitators of a culturally responsive programs and projects for the development of indigenous peoples, as we know for a fact that their development is also the well-being of Mimaropa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, NCIP Director Pascua. Narzalina Lim, ma'am, you have your hand raised.
I think my question has been answered, but this was my question to DPWH Mimaropa. And I think that was answered, but let me repeat. Why was the notice to proceed issued in November 2020 when none of the compliance and permits and the FS had been done. And I think the answer was clear. They wanted to obligate the 250 million that was already downloaded to them kasi masasayang. Is that correct? That was the reason why the notice to proceed was issued prior to all of these studies and permits being undertaken. The 250 million masasayang because it had already been downloaded. And it can be reverted back to the treasury if the project is a no-go. I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Yeah, Ma'am Yolanda, was that clear? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Sige po. Thank you. Okay. There are a couple of other questions here. I've been told we can end at 11:45, but before that, we're going to have a short synthesis and closing remarks by the Vice President of OCEANA. But there are a number of technical questions here. For example, for architect Kathy Saldana from Nico Santos, will your technical solutions include avoiding sedimentation and siltation in laying foundations for the bridge? I think you might have described some of your solutions there, but would you care to respond
Yes,
briefly?
thank you very much, Sir Howie. Thank you very much, Sir Howie. Very quickly. So design can actually be part of a solution, and design can actually help be part of saving the environment. Design will also always be part of sustainability, especially if we follow and adhere to those goals. Now, design could be technical, both in the engineering and the architectural aspect of the bridge, and in the materiality, the components as well. And when you take into consideration all of these things, we can find solutions. I appreciate the question. Even on the engineering side of siltation and erosion and soil control, there is that solution that you could find in design. And you can use it technically. Just make sure that the design is also to be approved by everybody. And that the whole inclusiveness of the approach will allow people to comment and appreciate that. Even with the other corollary question earlier, would it mar the view? Certainly not, because part of being sustainably designed is that you are not to hamper the beauty of these limestone cliffs. You are not to allow that the main superstar of the show, which are all these natural attractions, should be superseded or ignored by some technological bridge. This is something that design should not allow.
Yes, thank you. Just to follow up, Architect Saldana, no, as someone, I just wanted to confirm or clarify whether this statement is even correct. Someone posted in the question and answer box, no, an anonymous shop, but he wants to put it in perspective. Apparently, this bridge, if completed, will be the longest bridge in the Philippines, and in fact, it will be even longer than the Golden Gate Bridge in California, which is a suspension bridge. The Cullion Bridge is expected to be almost 3 kilometers long, and the depth of the channel is 20 to 40 meters deep. Tama po yun? What this is the goal of this bridge is to be 3 kilometers. I know that this is a network of bridges. Hindi lang po isang bridge. No, I don't know how this was calculated. No, whether the 3 kilometers is all the bridges put together, because you're actually connecting several islands, no? Would you care to comment on this, in terms of the magnitude of this project? I mean, how big will this project be compared to a lot of the other infrastructure projects already in the Philippines?
The length computation is inaccurate. The total kilometer, the linear measurement involves the road as well as the interconnecting bridges. So it will not reach that. It will still not be in line with San Juanico. It won't be even as big as that. So Certainly not. I believe some recalculations must be made by our respected audience member. Thank you so much. And once again, we are not the designers of the bridge yet. We are the proponents for the feasibility study.
And in terms of feasibility, ito nga, back to the options. No? Are you also looking at the feasibility of non-bridge options, or are you just looking at the feasibility of a bridge?
Creating a transportation network involves allowing all possibilities, land, sea, and air, to happen. And when you involve the Department of Transportation and Communications, that is the principle behind progress. However, you need to balance, just as our good director and ARD mentioned earlier, you cannot transmit power lines nor essential utility lines to islands through the boats. So a bridge allows that carriageway. And in fact, medical services, even in times of bad weather, will be allowed through a bridge. And so these are the factors that have to be considered, the whole balance of sea, land, and air. And given the fact that an airport actually will have more allocation of land for the runway, then that is certainly out of the question in these parts. It's only via sea and via land that we can consider a proper economic solution.
Okay, we probably have time for just a couple more questions. I noticed there were two hands raised, and then nawala na sila, no? So I presume those hands were brought down. So hindi na naka-raise hands, no? Yeah, nag-unmute si Dr. Fortes. Did you want to ask something, Dr. Mike?
Yes.
Okay, please.